Hey guys, welcome to CodeGrad. And today in this session, we'll discuss the topic file handling in Python. And we'll also see the implementation part of the file handling. In file handling, we'll see different topics like introduction, definition, opening and closing files, reading from files, writing to files, appending to files, understanding the file mode, and the key consideration. Okay, so let's start with the definition first. So it says that the process of working with files stored on a computer storage system, and it enables program to store, retrieve, and manage data constantly beyond program execution. So in file handling, can mention that working with files is made easy using the file handling. And in real world programs, we often need to read data from files or save data to files. And Python makes it easy to work with different types of files like text files, CSV files, or Excel files, and this is called file handling. Now, file handling is the process of creating, reading, writing, and updating files using code. Now, it allows program to store data permanently, unlike variables which are temporary. So that is the definition and the overview of the file handling. Moving on, we have opening and closing files. Now, files must be opened before any read or write operation can be performed. And closing files is essential to ensure data is saved correctly and resources are released. So in Python, we use the built-in open function to open a file, and syntax is, or suppose we have to open a file name or txt file. So what will type file equal to open, and I'll mention the file name. Suppose file name.txt is the name, and I'll mention the mode. Then after you are done, always close the file using file.close. Now there are different file modes also. We'll discuss the file mode first. First of all is R, which is the read mode and which is the default mode. If we don't mention any mode there, it will assume that this is the read mode. W is the write mode, which override if file exists, and then we have A for append that adds to the end of the file text. X is for to create or check basically fails if file exists, and B is the binary mode. It adds the for non-text like files like images, and T is the text mode default, which is usually combined with others. So these are the different file modes in Python. Now reading from file, accessing and retrieving data that already exists within a file and allows your program to use previously stored information for processing or display. So if you want to read from a file, we generally use the R mode, which is to read the file. Suppose I want to read a particular file, just I'll mention file equal to open, and I'll mention the file name, and comma I will give the R mode, which is the read mode, and I'll mention the file dot read, and in this way I can read for, or I can basically read from any text file. Now other modes are also there, like read line, that is to read only one line, or suppose we have the read line, which is to read all lines in a list. So in this way we can read from file, and we have different functions to read out. Now after reading, we are moving towards writing to file to basically write new data to a file, or delete basically the old content. So storing new data into a file and often creating the file if it doesn't exist. And this operation typically overwrites an existing content in the file. So whenever we have to write any content in a file, then we need to mention the we need to first open the file. So we'll mention the file name, open the file name, and comma will give the W mode, which is to write, and we will write then file dot write, and we'll mention the text file we have to add to that specific file, and then we'll close the file. So next is after writing, sometimes we also need to append some text to the file. So to add data to the end of the existing file, that is the basic operation of appending and adding new data to the very end of an existing file, and preserve the original content of the file and extend it with new information. So while appending, the original content which was previously present in the file is as it is, and then whatever the text part we mentioned in appending will be added at the end, and we use the mode A, which is to append. So we'll mention the open. First we need to open the file, then we need to mention the file name, and then we need to mention the mode, that is the A, and then we can write file dot write, and whatever we need to append at the end of the existing file, we give the text, and then we close the file. So that is appending. Now next is understanding the different file modes. So specifying a mode like read, write, or append tells the program how to interact with the file. And different modes also exist for handling text data versus the binary data. Examples, images or executables. So we have seen the different modes, like for reading any text from the file, we use the R mode. For writing, and we use the W mode, which basically overwrites if file exists. Then we have the A mode to append, that is to add the text to the end. Then we have the X to create, and it fails if file exists. Then we have the binary mode, where we can add this for non-text files like images, and then we have the text T mode, that is the text mode, which is the default one and is usually combined with others. So these are the different file modes we have available with the file handling. Now, key considerations. First of all, using with automatic we should use the with statement, which is the best practice. Using with automatically closes the file, so we don't need to mention the file dot close when we are using the with statement. So whenever we want to open or read any file, we start with open, and we mention the file name. Then we mention the mode. It is, suppose I want to read, so I will mention R, and I'll mention as file, and I will mention file dot read, and then I will. They can also print the content that is to read, and this is a cleaner and safer way, especially for large files. Now, always ensure files are properly closed after use to prevent data loss or corruption, and implement error handling to get fully manage issues like file not found or permission error. So, in key consideration, we should always take consideration of that we always close file to avoid the memory issues, and we should use try exit block to handle errors like if file not found, and we should understand the file path, use absolute path if needed, and we should don't open files in the right mode. You want to keep old data, so that is the key consideration in the file handling. Now, the common use cases in file handling is to reading configuration files, or writing logs and reports, training user input or application data, or working with your just on data file. Now, up till now, if you want to summarize, we can mention that file handling helps Python program interact with external files, and it is also essential for creating programs that store and use data persistently, and always choose the correct mode, and remember to close your file. So closing files is very necessary to avoid the memory loss. So that is the key point you should remember while dealing with file handling. So now we have finished with the about the card presentation part, and in the next part we'll see the implementation in the Google Colab, and I'll see you there.